All right, wake up, everybody. Happy October the 14th. Happy Monday morning. It's Chiefs week, and that means it's time for Damon and Larry. And wake up. Join us right now.
Yeah, I cannot get much bigger than Chiefs week around these parts, and it is good to have you here. There are no days off. What do we got? Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Days. It's sort of morphed into. Anyway, it's a day off for a lot of people, but we are right at it. Larry, it's good to be with you. You know, whenever the 49ers play on a Thursday night, it sort of feels like you get the weekend off a little. I saw a lot of 49ers fans saying it's going to be fun to have a stress-free Sunday, just watching the league sort of turn around. The outcome that you already know was assured with the big win up in Seattle on Thursday night. So a good weekend of football, I think, for 49ers fans. Got to take a breath, and the team gets to take a breath as the Chiefs come in off of a bye week. And we'll get to, how good Andy Reid is coming off of a bye week here. But really good weekend. Very interesting weekend, the way things are starting to shake out around the NFL, don't you think?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. One, not that I don't enjoy Niners Sundays, because I do, but man, there's something about that Sunday on the couch, watching some of these games, wagering on them. I had my best betting weekend this weekend. This was the best betting weekend.
Congratulations to you and all the Krugers.
Yeah, I mean, this was easy money this weekend. I took the Packers -5 against the Cardinals in the morning. They won 34-13. That was never in doubt. Then I decided in the afternoon, you know what? Let's roll that into a parlay, a money line parlay of Chargers Steelers on the road against the Broncos and Raiders. 23-16 Chargers, 32-13 Raiders. That hit. Then I said, you know what? There's no way the Bengals can't win tonight on Sunday Night Football. There's no Neighbors. There's no Singletary. The Giants are bad. The Bengals are desperate. Bengals will rout them. Well, they didn't rout them, but they did cover the number 3.5.
There you
17-7. Winner, winner, winner. And now I'm thinking about do I roll it into the Monday Nighter? Do I roll it into the Monday Nighter? Bills, Jets. I like the Bills on the road at MetLife giving one.
It sounds like a safe bet. I thought you were going to say winner, winner, chicken dinner. And I was going to say, no, Larry, that's not how we do it around here. We're brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. Winner, winner, seafood dinner is the direction you could be going in with all these winnings. Or you want to wrap it up in a Monday night. May God bless you for sure. How about Joe Burrow taking off for like a 48-yard scramble? Didn't even see it. Oh, by the way, speaking of winner, winner, seafood dinner, I'm glad you brought it up. This is our friend Ty. Ty went to Sam's Chowder House. We've urged everyone who's going down to the Chowder House to send us a picture. Send us a picture of you down there, your group. You'll make the wake up as soon as we get it. And there is Ty dropping a little lobster roll bomb on his belly right there. He gets the lobster roll of the day right there. So Ty, thank you for going down to Sam's Chowder House in Half Moon Bay. Thanks to them for being our sponsor here. Look at how happy he is. That's a happy man, Larry.
He sent us a note. He said, I was there today at Damon Bruce. Lobster roll was insanely good. Wife got one too, and she loved it. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, happy couples having romantic lobster lunches down in Half Moon Bay. That makes us very, very happy. See, when the Niners don't play, you get to do things like that. Because the Niners played on Thursday night, you might have even checked out a little bit. So let's start with a little inventory here, Larry. Let's go over what the ramifications coming out of that win over the Seahawks really looked like. And obviously, Jordan Mason getting hurt, that shoulder was a major concern. Good news comes as early as Friday, when Kyle let us know that it's an AC sprain in his left shoulder, but he's day-to-day. It's not like going to require surgery. They're not definitely declaring him out ahead of time. Now, things can obviously change, but this sounds like really good news for Jordan Mason, and any good news for Jordan Mason is good news for the 49ers.
Well, and you got to run the ball on the Chiefs. I mean, if you look at the numbers, you got to run the ball in Kansas City. The one thing that you can't do is run the ball. I mean, like if you've looked at their numbers this year, they have been really, really good. I mean, just to give you an idea, week 1, Derrick Henry, they held him to 46 yards. Week 2, Zach Moss, they held him to 34 yards. Week 3, Bijan Robinson, they held him to 31 yards. He's one of the best backs in football. Week 4 against the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins held to 32 yards. And then week 5 against the Saints, they held Kamara to 11 carries for 26 yards. So, it's interesting. In some ways, they're mirror, of the Niners in that both teams have struggled to score touchdowns in the red zone. And Mahomes only has 6 touchdowns and 6 picks for the year. But you know what? They've got a great defense, and they've added Kareem Hunt, and they've getting a lot out of this burner, Xavier Worthy. And as you said, Andy Reid is really, really tough off the bye. So this is going to be it. That's why Thursday night was a gotta have it game, because the Niners play the Chiefs off the bye this week. Then they play the Cowboys off their bye next week. So it kind of reminds me of the Triple Crown in horse racing, where it's like the horse is trying to win the Triple Crown's got to run the Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont, but there's new horses that jump in at every leg of the Triple Crown, and they're fresh.
Right. Well, they're fresh and they're trained just to beat you in that race.
Right. So Kansas City's super fresh this week, and the Niners will be tired, and not tired because they will have had the extra 3 days off, but then the following week they get the Cowboys off their bye, and the Niners will be heading into their bye. So, it's that part of it. We talked about this. This was a story in the offseason when Warren Sharp was out. And it is a story. I mean, the Niners have the 3rd worst rest differential of all time this season. The Chiefs will have 3 extra rest days this week. Dallas will have 7 extra rest days the following week. And the Niners have been on the wrong side of the rest differential by huge proportions in each of the last two years. Last year, they were the 6th worst rest differential team of all time. This year, they have the 3rd worst. So what can you say? I mean, it is what it is. The league's prioritizing their money over equity, and this is this is how it breaks. So you play the schedule they put in front of you, and we'll see if the Niners can get it done against the Chiefs. I would imagine the Chiefs have enormous confidence against the 49ers because
of course they do. Why wouldn't they? They don't lose to this team. And again, I'm not picking against the Niners, but I'm not picking the Niners in this game. I'm not going to pick the Niners over the Chiefs until I actually see them do it with my own 2 eyes. I've fallen for this trap a few different times, and there's just always a way that they figure it out, and it usually happen late, and it happens painfully. But, I don't think the Chiefs are much better than the San Francisco 49ers, but they are indisputably better, and they certainly have every edge that you could think of having in this matchup. Again, the fact that Jordan Mason is day-to-day before it, and you just, laid out how difficult running against this very good Kansas City defense is. Their offense might be regressing. Their red zone performance might be regressing. Mahomes himself might even be regressing with the lack of talent that is now around him in Andy Reid's offense. But this is maybe the best defense the Kansas City Chiefs have ever had. I mean, this is a nasty team on that side of the ball, and the 49ers are going to have an awful lot to deal with. Luckily, they're going to get, when they do their inventory, a new item to maybe use this week, and we'll talk about what Ricky Pearsall could do to change things. I mean, he is the ultimate unknown. We haven't seen him yet. We don't know him. They don't know him. No one knows him. So that could be a little bit of a difference maker. The other good piece of news that I thought was that Malik Mustafa does not have the high ankle sprain. The high ankle sprain can cost a player a month. He does have a sprained ankle, but it's not going to be so severe. We won't see him for a while. He's been listed as day-to-day. Jordan Elliott's going to be returning to practice after missing time with his knee injury. That should make this defensive line a little bit better, and they just had a pretty good game against the Seattle Seahawks. And Charvarius Ward is still day-to-day with his knee injury, and obviously you'd love to have him back because when he sees the Chiefs, That's a team that he has extra motivation to play well against because he used to be one of them. So you want Charvarius Ward out there with just his institutional knowledge of the Chiefs out on the field. But man, Diamador Lenore had such a good game up in Seattle. I watched a Baldy breakdown, even shared it, on YouTube. And what he's really coming to his own, Larry. Seriously, like he might be the 49ers' best defensive back right now.
He is. I mean, there's no doubt. Mooney is the guy they have to. I mean, Mooney's the guy that's been their number one corner. He's had consistent groin and hamstring and soft tissue injuries. He's a very good player, but I think Demo is a more complete player. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can play the run, he can play the pass. He's got great competitive instincts. He's insanely competitive at the catch point. So, and he'll hit you. I mean, ask DeAndre Swift of the Eagles. Lenore will step up and absolutely put the lick on you. So, yeah, he had 8 tackles, 6 solo, a PBU in this last game. Yeah, Lenore's tremendous. That's the thing. The Niners right now have Bosa, Warner, Lenore. 3 great players on all 3 levels of their defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that they've got 3 really good players. They will get a 4th, hopefully, when Greenlaw is back into the mix. By the way, he got fined. We'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Oh.
But, the 49ers are good. Even if you want to pretend they're not, you're sort of pretending. They're really good. Can they be great again? It feels like if there is greatness within them, they're going to find it in the next handful of games. Here it is. Like the NFL is officially rounding into what it's going to be this year. We're through that first September, which is now more of a rocky road to navigate than ever before with the lack of preseason participation, pretty much being standard operating procedure around the league. We can actually start counting on who's good and who's not and who's going to matter at the end of the season. And any fan who spent this time this past weekend, just watching the league, you took your eye off the Niners because they had already played. So you got to look around the league. I think you noticed a few things right away. First of all, how good the NFC North is. And the NFC North has absolutely supplanted the NFC West as the NFC's most competitive division, maybe football's most competitive division. You got 4 different teams right now with at least 4 wins. The Vikings, the Lions, the Packers, the Bears, they all have 4 wins. I'm not saying any of these teams are flawless or perfect, but they're producing. That's football's most competitive division through 6 weeks, bar none. I mean, there's no close second, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I think you got 3 Super Bowl contenders there. You got Green Bay, who looks really good. They're 4-2, and they just got a nice win at home this weekend. And then you got Detroit, who just put one on Dallas, and they've got great weapons. But, Detroit just lost Aiden Hutchinson for the year.
It's that, Larry, I almost have him out of the Super Bowl conversation with that injury alone. That's how big he is.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely would take them out of the Super Bowl conversation. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson is their Nick Bosa, and we'll see how they react to it. I mean, there are other guys out there, Detroit's really hell-bent to get there. I mean, do they trade for a guy? Hassan Reddick's out there. The Bengals just got a win, but a lot of people feel like Trey Hendrickson could be dealt if the Bengals lose even 1 or 2 more games before the deadline, which is 3 weeks away. Zardarius Smith, the Browns are 1-5. They're saying that he potentially could be available. Jadeveon Clowney, Trayvon Walker, Azeez Ojulari, Josh Uche. All these guys are reportedly, reportedly available. So, maybe we'll see the Lions make a move. But yeah, I mean, the Bears to me were one of the surprises of the weekend. The fact that, to me, there's a couple surprises this weekend. One was the Bears. The fact that they, not just they beat Jacksonville in London because Jacksonville's bad, and Shad Khan gave Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson a vote of confidence, so that means they're out at the
kiss of death.
Yeah, the kiss of death. But Caleb had 4 touchdown passes. Chicago averaged 5.2 yards a carry, led by DeAndre Swift, who had a phenomenal day. Jalen Johnson, or is it Jalen Jones? Who's the corner they have? Incredible player. 10 tackles. He had 9 solo. So the Bears, to me, were one of the surprises. The Packers looked great against the Cardinals, slapped them around. Romeo Dobbs came back. Quay Walker had a big day. And Minnesota Minnesota the bye? Is that what they?
It was a bye for Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota the bye week. But yeah, Detroit and Green Bay and Minnesota in that division are really, really good. The other team I thought that was really noteworthy this weekend, and we probably should start taking notice of them, is Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay just went into New Orleans in the Superdome and put 51 on a pretty good Saints defense. They're 4-2. Baker Mayfield did turn it over 3 times, but he threw for 325 and 4 touchdowns. Chris Godwin had a huge day. Sean Tucker had a 14 carry, 136 yard day, 2 touchdowns. Tampa's defense, Damon, 5 sacks, 10 hits on the quarterback, 2 picks, 5 TFLs. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 594 total yards for Tampa, and their defense has a lot of good players on it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look,
watch out for them.
The Saints are the classic example of how you cannot look at the first couple weeks of football in this league and make any strong determinations or predict the future. I mean, the Saints looked like world beaters in their first 2 games, right? They offense that no one had ever quite even seen before, blah, 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 blah. And now they're on Spencer Rattler already. So, that's how quickly things can change in this league between week 2 and week 6. It sounds like it's only a month. It might as well be a year. Over on the AFC side, all teams not named the Chiefs that I think you need to worry about from an AFC standpoint. We'll see if the Bills officially re-enter the conversation as fear the Bills. Like you said, they got the Jets on Monday Night Football this evening. But it's Ravens, Texans, and Chiefs in the AFC right now. And I don't think it's much more than that. The Pittsburgh Steelers are always respectable. I mean, they are really, if Mike Tomlin were a football team, they would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not exactly impressive.
Justin Fields is awful.
He is, but they keep winning. Because
they're playing the Raiders. I mean,
you're right. You're right.
He is so bad. I mean, after watching Brock Purdy and then watching Justin Fields is terrible. I mean, he's just not a good quarterback. He's a great athlete. He's not a good quarterback, and he's never going to be a good quarterback.
Right.
I mean,
he doesn't see and process the field at all. If he's off his first read, good luck with it. This is look. He can get a total. I lived through it, Larry. I lived through it. I know Justin Fields. Believe me.
If they get the ball on the 8-yard line, they're going to run 2 plays and they're going to kick a field goal. I mean, it's like he was 14 of 25 for 145 yards. He runs 4-4 flat. He was sacked 3 times. I mean, it's like. He ran 11 times for 59 yards, but it's like even that he runs he runs at the wrong time. He takes way too long to run, so he doesn't take advantage of his wheels. It's just his overall feel as a football player just isn't there. Now the Raiders are bad, and the Raiders did not have Devontae Adams. They did not have their other good receiver. They didn't have anybody. I mean, they didn't have Christian Wilkins. I mean, the Raiders didn't have Michael Mayer. I mean, they were out like 5 or 6 of their best 10 players. So they're bad. And the Steelers, I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the game, but the Steelers fans absolutely packed that place. It was a total Steeler home game.
Yeah, well, every home game at Allegiant Stadium is a home game for the away team. The Raiders get 1 home game a year, and that's when they're at SoFi playing the Chargers.
The Raiders should be called the Max Crosbys. That's it. That's all they got. They got Max Crosby. He had 3 hits on the quarterback. He had 2 tackles for loss. He had a half sack. I mean, he's a force. But you know what? TJ Watt has got the Fred Warner thing down. He absolutely does. I don't know if you saw him, but he just punches at the ball. He just punches really, really hard at the football, and he got a couple to pop out. So I mean, the Steelers got the win, but I watched that game. Here's
the thing. You're right.
They're not going anywhere.
They are absolutely offensively flawed. That defense is just good enough to make up for it. And the AFC, I think, is pretty shallow water to wade through right now. I mean, if it's not the Ravens and it's not the Texans and it's not the Chiefs, it can be a win for the Steelers. It really can be. Now, they've got a brutal, brutal portion of the schedule that does come up later in the year, and maybe that will be the deciding factor right there, and the fork in the road will reveal itself. They also have hey, when they decide Justin Fields, it ain't him anymore, if they do reach that, their backup quarterback does get to go to the Hall of Fame one day. Russell
weird.
Wilson
Why is he backing up? I mean, if I'm Russell, why is Russell backing up this guy who can't play? I know Russell isn't as good as he used to be, but I mean, I'll tell you, I think you're forgetting one team. I do think you're forgetting one team. Do you want to guess who that team is?
Okay, let me go mental Rolodex quickly. I'm flipping through the teams. You're not going to say the Chargers, are you?
Yeah, I am going to say the Chargers. The Chargers have a really good defense. And Justin Herbert just came back. They've got a good running back in J.K. Dobbins. Kamani Vidal's not a bad running back either. They got, they're starting to get good performances out of some of these other guys. Simi Fehoko, the former Dallas Cowboy, had a nice little game. Their defense shows up. I mean, they made Bo Nix look really bad. He 19 of 33 for 216, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That was like all in garbage time. They got shut out through the first 3 quarters. Right. Denver could do nothing offensively, and there was no Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa didn't even play yesterday. He was inactive, and yet the Chargers still got 3 sacks, 6 hits on the quarterback. They got other guys. They're not a bad team. So I don't know. To me, the Chargers defense is decent, and Harbaugh's a winner, and they're good on they're good on special teams always, and they don't try to do too much offensively. I think the Chargers are going to be a tough team to beat.
You might be right, but I still don't have them on that top shelf that I think the Ravens and the Chiefs sit on. And then right underneath them, it's the Texans. And then right underneath them, it's Bills, Chargers, Steelers, all looking for viability in what I think is, maybe an AFC East or an AFC, that has, more star power at the quarterback position. But I just think the NFC's got some better teams through it and in it, which means the 49ers are going to need to keep on keeping pace here. They've gotten back to 500, obviously, at 3-3. And here it comes, man. I mean, here comes Chiefs week. And it doesn't get bigger than that. I know that Cowboys are up after that. And we'll talk about what just a disaster the Dallas Cowboys are. But off of a bye week, there's still enough talent there to maybe give you a problem at home after you're licking your wounds against a Chiefs team that can beat you up. So this is going to be a very, very important week of football. And the 49ers can lose the game and survive the season, but it's the bounce in the step, Larry. Oh my God. Like the attention that would just zoom right back in on the Niners if they're the first team to beat the Chiefs this year and actually win a game over Andy Reid off of the bye. It would be, look, you can't get more attention when you're going to a Super Bowl, but it would take the 49ers and put them right back up on the top of the let's talk about them as the best team in the league conversation. It really will. So it's, look good, feel good, play good week. The amount of feel good that would start to surround the 49ers if they win this game against the Kansas City Chiefs would, I think, be officially the end of the bad vibe summer, the end of the bad vibe start to the year that Mike Silver says still lingers going into that Seattle game. I think it would just change the temperature of the room for the rest of the year if the 49ers can get this done. They don't have a bigger game on their schedule anywhere than this week. It's a monster. It's an absolute monster. It's the how serious are we taking you guys for the rest of the year? The 49ers are either going to go back into, yeah, they're good, but, they can't beat the Chiefs. Or, holy shit, it's a new day.
If I said to you, what do you, what do you think wins championships in the NFL in 2024? Offense, defense?
Right. It's not quite the cliche of defense that it used to be. I think it's total balance. It's balance in coaching. You have to be a team that doesn't paint
let me
itself
throw this
into
out
a
to you.
predictable corner. You have to have a balanced running game, passing attack, and a defense that is at bare minimum, somewhere in the top 10 in the league. I think you got to have that to really be a championship team.
You got to be a top 10 defense in the league.
Top 10 defense with an offense that isn't there will never be another Baltimore Ravens.
Let me give you the top 10 defensive teams
league. You got to
Let
be
me give
able
you Let me give you the top 10 defensive teams in the league.
Okay.
These are the best defensive teams in the league right now. 1 through 10 or 10. Yes, we'll start with 1 going down to 10. Top 10 defensive teams in the league, because you said you need to be a top 10 defensive team. Titans, number 1. Jets, number 2. This is according to yards. Texans, number 3. Broncos, number 4. Dolphins, number 5. Those are the 5 best defensive teams in football. Only really the
here's
Texans.
the thing, but you're using what I think is the least impressive way to measure a defense, and that's total yards. All of those teams that you just mentioned have the type of offense that doesn't drive deep into the other teams. There's a lot of good starting field position for other teams' offenses against those defenses. So just measuring them as total yards allowed, I think those are defenses that aren't some of the best defenses in football. They just have shorter fields to defend. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we'll go away from yards. We'll flip to points.
Okay.
These are the top 5 defenses in the NFL, according to points. Chargers, number 1. Steelers.
Well, that's why I didn't laugh at your Chargers suggestion that I was forgetting one.
Yeah, 13.2 a game. Number 1 in the league.
It's big boy.
Steelers, number 2, 14.3 of the
That's why I'm saying don't discount them. You can't.
Vikings, number 3, 15.2.
Maybe the best team in football.
Broncos, number 4, give up 16.
Not worried about that.
And Bears, number 5, give up 16.8.
Ascending team that no one wants to see on the schedule.
6, Kansas City. They give up 17.
They're monsters.
7 is the Jets. They're tied with Kansas City.
Shouldn't have fired Salah.
Detroit is 8. Packers are 9. Giants are 10. Buffalo's 11. Niners are 12, giving up 21-7 a game. So, and then offensively, I mean, that's defense. Offensively, if you said who are the best offensive teams, do you want to go in points? We'll go points, since points seems to be it. Number 5 best offensive teams in football. Detroit, number 1, 30.2 a game. Tampa, 29.7 a game. Commanders, the same. Ravens, 29.5 a game. Buffalo, 28.4 a game. That's the top 5. Saints, 6. Vikings, 7. Green Bay, 8. Niners, 9. You got to go down to like mid-pack for Chiefs. So the one area where you could say, man, the Niners have been better than the Chiefs is turnovers. Niners, the turnover margin on the year are pretty good. Niners are +3 on the year, where Kansas City is on the other side of the thing. They're -4. So maybe the Niners could get a couple turnovers and win this game.
Well, I mean, not turning the ball over goes a long way. Not making the crippling, hey, you know what? You actually went up 17, but then you let him return a touchdown on punt or kickoff against you. I mean, like, I have no confidence in the 49ers special teams whatsoever. 0. They will fuck up in this game. I'm sure of it. It's all they ever do. There's not a single game this year that's not accompanied with a special teams mistake that damn near loses the game, if not straight up loses the game. So, and it is, look, you and I think we're fans of the operation that Kyle Shanahan runs. We respect good coaching. We respect game planning. Well, there is no better coach in just the prism of evaluating him through game plan than Andy Reid on Planet Football right now. And there's no defensive coordinator who has more ownage over Kyle Shanahan than Spagnuolo. There is no head coach that has more ownage over Kyle Shanahan than Andy Reid. There is no quarterback that is decimated the 49ers quite like Patrick Mahomes. And I just, again, I cannot pick the 49ers until I see it with my own two eyes, but they can do it. They absolutely can win this game. I believe that, but they're going to have to not do the things that I'm expecting them to do. A colossal mistake, on special teams. And, Jordan Mason's going to have a near 100-yard day. He's going to have to be the first running back that did have a good day against the Kansas City Chiefs for this team to really pop. Ricky Pearsall, if you're telling me no one saw him coming and he had a 3-touchdown day, okay, maybe that's their, okay, they didn't even know how to plan for him. They got no tape on him. They had to watch Florida tape to even see what he looked like. So he kind of caught the Chiefs off guard. New wrinkle is where it all turned. Okay, maybe that's it. George Kittle inspired because he's got Travis Kelce getting all that attention on the other end of the field. So George Kittle wants to be on camera as much as humanly possible. And that brings out the very best in him. And Debo's playing with violence. And Ayuk has another, hey, everybody, I should be at least worth about 15 million. And let me show you the production of that. If it all comes together, here's the thing. When it all comes together for the Niners, they're fucking world beaters. The Niners, for the last 5 years, have been nothing short of the second best team in this league. But here comes the definitive best team in this league. So, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And the Chiefs are the best. They remain the best.
They got to be better in the red zone. I mean, this is a red zone battle. Both these teams have struggled in the red zone. Whoever figures it out is probably going to win the game. This is a huge angle in this game. Why? Because the Chiefs have Mahomes and they have Reed. And even if the Niners get a lead, the Chiefs can come back.
At what's the number that would make you feel safe? What's the number? What is the
24.
lead the Niners could have that would make you say, in the barn, don't even need to watch it, we can go to bed?
4 scores.
Okay.
4 scores. 24 points at least, maybe 28. The Niners have been good in the red zone when targeting Kittle this year. Brock has completed 10 of 11 for 5 touchdowns to Kittle through the first 6 weeks in the red zone. Far higher success than any other receiver in the red zone. So that's the guy they gotta find in the red zone.
Right.
Is George Kittle.
These numbers might have changed with Sunday's production in the NFL, but going into Sunday, Kittle leads the NFL in the red zone in catches, yards, and touchdowns.
Yeah. So he's absolutely a key guy. By the way, John Feliciano appears to be gearing up for a return from IR. That's interesting. Does he start at guard? Does he start at right guard? No, because you got Pooney there. Does he start at center? No, because you got Brendel there. Or does he start? We'll see. But that's something to look for this week. Does Feliciano play? Also, Jordan Mason. Shanahan told us Friday that he was diagnosed with the AC joint sprain. He's day-to-day, left the game in the second quarter, tried to return in the second half, finished the day with 9 carries for 73 yards. So it sounds like he's trending towards playing, which would be good. Ultimately, though, this really comes, as I said, it's going to come down to the red zone. I mean, the Niners are the 29th best red zone offense. And look at the first half. They had 5 drives in the first half against Seattle, 4 of them ending deep in Seattle territory. And the results were field goal, punt, touchdown, field goal. By the way, Matthew Wright is ready to go this week. They're saying that they won't have to go for another kicker.
That's good.
He's going to be able to kick. But the only, 2 red zone trips that, only 2 of those red zone trips resulted in, it's like you didn't basically Matthew Wright settled for 3 field goals. I mean, we settled for 3 Matthew Wright field goals. So that's a problem. I mean, absolutely. Now the Niners scored on 3 straight red zone drives in the second half of this game. But I mean, that's it right there. It's like kind of reminds me of Super Bowl 54, where the Niners got run over in the second half because they couldn't score enough points and Kansas City got it rolling. This is not that Kansas City offense, but this defense is quite a bit better. So this is going to be a battle. This can be an absolute battle. I'm shocked by the spread. Shocked that the 49ers are favored in this thing. It makes no sense.
Chiefs opened as 1.5 point underdogs San Francisco is gone down, I think, to now just -1. So it's moved a little bit. And, look, Kyle he's got a little bit of a mini bye here, right? I mean, that's the way you sort of look at a Thursday night game. Hopefully, I'm guessing, Larry, maybe did he give the team the entire weekend off? Like normally you win a Thursday night game like that, you basically say, all right, everybody, we'll see you first thing Tuesday morning, right? Everybody, you need training table, get into the facility, but we got a few extra days here. Take them off, go home, go rest. How did the Niners play this weekend?
Got Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So they're guys there in the facility today rehabbing. Tomorrow is and they'll watch the film today. And then tomorrow is the players off day. And then Wednesday they'll hit the practice field.
I'm going to say that I don't think rest is going to be an issue. I don't think it rears its head. I don't think that the Chiefs are going to come in tremendously fresher than the 49ers in this game. I really don't. Still a little bit too early in the year for the, the compound interest of the NFL season has yet to start like doubling down on teams week after week after week. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. But what is an issue is, as we talked about earlier on in the show today, brought to you by Sam's Chowderhouse, everyone. Welcome to Wake Up, by the way. Hit like and subscribe. It's wonderful to have you here. It's going to be a big week. Obviously, it's Chiefs week. Andy Reid is the greatest coach in football history off the bye week, and I don't even think there's a close second. Maybe the numbers will bear that out, but I mean, this is his career. This is far beyond Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and Taylor Swift is a good luck charm. This is Alex Smith. This is Donovan McNabb. This is his entire time in Philadelphia. Andy Reid in the regular season is 28-3 when his team is coming off a bye week and the other team is not. The numbers, if you want to add the premise of bye weeks to the postseason, Larry's got those numbers, and they get even more impressive. Andy Reid is really good in the regular season off the bye. You give him an extra week to prepare in the postseason, you're going to lose that game too. And Andy Reid is 4-0 against Kyle Shanahan. That's Shanahan's worst record against any coach in this league. Spagnuolo, he owns Kyle Shanahan. He's got a way to shut down this offense and has several times coaching several different teams. The first loss in Kyle's 0-4, right? The first loss was a 38-27 loss at Arrowhead when Jimmy G tore his ACL. The second loss was the first Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. The third loss was in 2022 when the Chiefs beat the 49ers 44-23. Brock appeared in that game and would soon take over, go on his epic kind of rookie run there. And obviously that season ended in Philadelphia with the elbow problem. And then the fourth loss was just the second Super Bowl in overtime in Las Vegas. So, Kyle, the argument, he's getting closer. He's closing the gap, I guess, could be made. But still, man, Andy Reid off of a bye week is one of the most guaranteed to pay off the past is prologue percentage plays there is in sports, Larry. I mean, the guy is 28-3 when he's got a bye and you don't. And he's got a bye and the Niners didn't. So,
Thank you, schedule makers. Yeah, I will say this. I mean, forget the Chiefs for a second. Nameless, faceless opponents. This is more about the Niners. This isn't about the Chiefs. This is about the Niners. When I say that, what I mean is the Niners have to put their best foot forward. Enough of this. They've got all kinds of rules and regulations, all kinds of little in-house, things that they live by that are just a bunch of garbage, and they need to throw it out and move on. And
okay, hold on. Wait. I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought. Would you please give me your 2 or 3 most superfluous, this is stupid points of what you're making? What are the guidelines and the guide rails that you think are actually holding the team back? What like, for example,
they need to just go younger. Enough of the, I mean, what is this? Is this a gang? Are they a street gang or are they a football team? I don't care if you've been in the gang for an extra amount of time. Play your best freaking players. They're not playing their best freaking players. And this is the second year in a row they've done this. So until they can figure out who their best players are and start to play them. Last year, they went with Oliver. Oh, we got to go with Oliver because we signed Oliver. Well, so what? Deshaun Jameson was better than him. You cut Jameson. You kept Oliver. Jameson went on, had a really good year for nothing, for peanuts, and you spent veteran money on Oliver, who stunk. And the team didn't turn around until you benched his ass for Ambry Thomas. So that was last year's screw up. This year, the same damn thing is happening again. And we finally in this game are starting to see the thing turn over a little bit. It's like play your youth, okay? Play Renardo Green over Isaac Yadam. Do not trot out Yadam over Green anymore. Play D. Winters over Devondre Campbell. Do not try to trot out Campbell anymore. Play Mustafa over George Odom or Talanoa Hufanga when Talanoa Hufanga returns. Why? Because Mustafa is better than Odom and Hufanga. Play your youth when your youth is better. Stop treating this like it's some kind of pecking order based on longevity with the company or seniority.
What do you think?
What the hell?
Seriously, because we both agree that this is a really good team. They're well coached. They're well run. They conceive the team the right way. There's an awful lot of team construction I think we admire. But when it comes to game day choices, what more than anything do you think is preventing them from seeing not only the returns on tape that we're talking about, but the hunches that you and I talk about each and every week? Why are they not on board with the direction you're talking about? What's holding them back? What do you think it really is?
I really think it's this petty, evaluation that happens from within where, oh, wait a second, you went and spent some of Jed's money on Devondre Campbell. You sure as hell better. He sure as hell better play. Because what if he's on the bench? So you're taking a mistake. You made a mistake. You evaluated the player wrong in the offseason, and now you're going to force him into the lineup to justify your you going to Jed saying we need X amount of dollars for Devondre Campbell. I don't care about that, and nobody else should either. Show me Graham, show me Winters, show me Bethune, show me somebody who's faster. Campbell can't cover. Metcalf ran right by him. How many times do you need to see Campbell get burnt before you're going to take him off the field? I mean, at this point, it's ridiculous. Renardo Green is a dog. He played at Florida State. He played a full career at Florida State, but you signed Isaac Yadam, so it's like, oh, we can't play Renardo Green. We have to sit him behind Isaac Yadam. No, play him in front of Yadam. He's better than Yadam. It's simple things like that. Sam Aquinu, practice squad guy. It took him 3 or 4 weeks before he got in front of some of these other defensive ends.
How about Jordan Mason, right? I mean, Jordan Mason is a guy you didn't see at all last year. Didn't see
Jordan
him.
Mason, another example. Perfect example. I mean, it seems like just stop, you force. I mean, and then at wide receiver, I mean, another area. You have Ronnie Bell. I get it. You drafted him last year. You like him. You're slow. You have no speed. And you have Terrace Marshall who runs 4.3 on your practice squad. You got Jacob Cowing who you drafted in the 4th round. You got speedy receivers all over the league if you want to pluck one off somebody else's practice squad. And still you're going with redundant Ronnie Bell. Why? What does he give you? He's contributing absolutely nothing. So, I mean, once again, the Niners, it's like if you're going to beat a team that has 53 guys on their roster, you have to show up with 53 guys on your roster, not 44, because you got these 7 or 8 guys that are like on some kind of rookie redshirt year or some kind of we don't trust them policy or whatever it is. But I mean, it's like when you have 5 examples of lesser players that are playing over better players, it's how you going to expect to win? You can't beat the Chiefs if 5 of your better players are sitting the bench because you don't want to tell Jed that you blew the free agent market.
But so how about this? I agree with everything you're saying in terms of they should play the youth. I don't agree, though, to the why of your premise. This cannot be about, hey, Jed, we broke him off free agent dollars, and now he plays because we're cutting him a bigger paycheck than the other guy. If it is that,
it is that.
If it is that, then there is a level of dysfunction that that just cannot be overcome. Football has to dictate what's happening on a football field, not financial commitment to a football team. I've never seen the 49ers penny pinch. I really haven't.
It's not about penny pinching. It's not about penny pinching. It's about blame and allocating of funds and that kind of thing. I agree,
okay,
but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the 49ers actually believe that Devondre Campbell is their best option at linebacker, but then that's a problem too because they're wrong.
Right. That's a whole other problem. But to me, it's an easier to deal with problem than if what you originally suggested, that they don't want to tell Jed York that they're not paying their highest paid players. And I do think that the Brock Purdy immersion sort of clips that argument's wings a little, right? I mean, they have the least amount of money ever committed to a starting quarterback in football, who got to play over a first-round pick who they traded more company assets for than any other trade in the history of the franchise. So, like, I agree with you, but I'd also say that there's an example that isn't the marching drumbeat of how this team operates. I hope it's not. I certainly hope it's not.
All I would say is show me the free agent signing they've had who sat for a draft pick. I mean, they didn't sign an offensive lineman. They went with Pooney. Okay.
By the way, he is challenging right now in real time Trent Williams for the record or the crown of who's the best offensive lineman on this team. Pooney is the man. Yeah, I would say if we were putting together the NFL's most untradeable players, Dominic Pooney right now is in the top 10 of that conversation, isn't he?
No, he's still a right guard. I mean, come on, he's a right guard. He is. If he were a left tackle, maybe. But as a right guard, I don't think there's anything he could be Quentin Nelson. I don't know if Quentin Nelson's a top 10 player in the league, and he's probably the best guard there is.
I don't mean top 10 player in the league. I'm talking about untradeable based on who they are, what they're doing this early in their career on their rookie contract.
He's good. Let's just say that. He's just really good. He's really, really good. And he's not just really good. He really is a conscientious, hardworking kid who wants to get better. He's a hell of a player. I mean, the Guerrero 76-yard touchdown run, Pooney had 2 blocks, and it was like, Highway 77 right behind his back. It was awesome. He blew the guy out of the hole, and then he pushed down the guy on the second level, and Guerrero ran off his inside hip, and he was just gone. It was something to see. So yeah, the Niners rookies are balling.
Importance based on position. I really don't. I don't like with defensive tackles better than ever in this league right now. Saying, well, he's a guard, he's a center, he's not as is not as talented as a tackle. Well, not having the right guard and the right center has made your incredibly talented left tackle still, evaluated as the rest of his offensive line kind of stinks. The rest of the offensive line doesn't kind of stink anymore, and it's because of Dominic Pooney. I mean, I know you and I aren't arguing about this. Your example of guards will never be more valuable than tackles.
I'm just saying he's not a top 10 guy, but he's a great player, and he's a great kid, and he was an incredible draft choice.
Yeah, I think he is completely untradeable. Like, there's what would the Niners take for Dominic Pooney? I think the answer is nothing. They're thrilled with what they got.
Yeah, he's a tremendous player. I mean, this has been a really good rookie class. I'm just saying, and I understand it's a long year, and rookies sometimes hit the wall, so it's not crazy to be conservative with some of your young players.
Might be Chris Jones this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy to, it's not like you got to roll all your rookies out and put them out there in week 1. I get it. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, God, I mean, you saw DK Metcalf on Campbell. You saw him just getting crushed. You've seen Campbell's numbers. He's just a disaster against the pass, and he's missed like 5 or 6 tackles in the last couple of weeks. So I just think that you got to put your bet. You somehow, some way, you got to have no sacred cows. You got to have all your best players on the field. It's got to football, as Jim Harbaugh says, and I agree with Jim on this. It has to be a meritocracy. If it ever is anything but a meritocracy, stuff starts to go haywire. That you're vibe is bad. Your locker room chemistry is going to be bad. It's got to be a meritocracy. Your best players have to be on the field. Otherwise, guys start looking around going, what the hell's going on here? The best players aren't even on the field. So, we got this. We got to win all this urgency, but we don't have the urgency to put our best lineup out there. I mean, come on.
I'm not even playing devil's advocate here. This is like a legitimate, I don't know if it's a legitimate point or question, but at what point do you put it on the guys behind Devondre Campbell for not being good enough to beat out what looks like the softest target on the team? I mean, at some point, like Graham and Winters and these guys who can't beat, why? What the hell's wrong with you guys? How can you not beat out Grandpa Slowfeet?
But you're assuming something's wrong with them. I'm assuming that there's nothing wrong with them because there was nothing wrong with them this summer. There's
clearly something that hasn't happened in practice,
not necessarily
on film, that has made this decision, right?
Not necessarily. It could just be that they were, let's just say, look at it this way. Last year, Steve Wilkes and the defensive coaching staff were going with Isaiah Oliver, and he was getting roasted. And then they had a bye week. They came out in the Jacksonville game, and they said, you know what, Oliver, you sit down. We're going to go with Ambry Thomas. And they got better. So, playing Renardo Green, I think, makes you better. I think playing Renardo Green makes you better. And I would argue that plugging in a D. Winters or a Jalen Graham, I will agree when I see those guys plugged in to the lineup and fail. Until I can't, it's like you're telling me that this guy's better than those guys. This guy's failing left and right. But those guys don't get a chance to fail at all. So I want to see those guys fail. And then we can sit there and be like, we got a problem. Campbell can't do it. Winters can't do it. Graham can't do it. Bethune can't do it. Flanagan foul. None of these guys can do it. At least then you can say, okay, well, call up the Jaguars about Devin Lloyd or, whatever you're going to do at the trade deadline. Maybe linebacker becomes a trade deadline need. But all I'm saying is Campbell's getting burnt.
Yeah.
And it's pretty consistent.
By the way,
so
I feel like
I would figure it out.
I feel like this conversation is warming us up for the Moses Moody needs more playing time for the Warriors conversation that we're about 3 weeks away from having. So
Moses Moody's maybe one of the best players on the entire team, and he should be. He's in his prime, and the rest of the team's old or young. He's been the best player on their preseason team. Yeah. I'll give you another guy I watched from the Warriors the other night that has a hell of a player. That Virginia guard that they signed after the draft, who wasn't even drafted, I think his name's Beekman. That guy can play defense. That guy's a 2-time ACC Defensive Player of the Year award winner.
Well, I
know the ACC's down, but it ain't that down.
No, it's not that down.
Yeah, this guy's 6'2" and plays ridiculous defense, kind of like a Pat Bev type. Beekman, Reese Beekman is his name, Damon.
Bazzi Mian says, refs ranking, the Chiefs are absolutely number one. Larry, does Nick Bosa get a holding call at home? Is he going to get one holding call called against him at Levi's? Please.
He had such a phenomenal game too. Wow, he really had a phenomenal game. To me, Bosa, if Bosa can keep playing the way that he played this week, that's going to be great. Him and Floyd combined for 20 pressures in this last game against Seattle. That's kind of what what was I thinking of when they signed Leonard Floyd? Kind of that those two guys would have, 10 pressures each every game. They would be absolutely a ridiculous combination. And it hasn't happened, but when they are good, man, they're good.
Big week, baby. Big week. And then again, after it, it's the Dallas Cowboys, who I just think they're worth a little of our attention right now. They really are, Larry, because you want to talk about like meddlesome owner going to a level of epic proportions that really, we haven't really seen this in a while, I think, in sports. Jerry Jones has done more to hurt the Dallas Cowboys than any team has done to hurt the Dallas Cowboys, the way that he's built this team. Mike McCarthy is in a contract year. I saw this from Albert Breer. says Jerry Jones's coach, Mike McCarthy, is in a contract year. The Dallas owner just shelled out nearly $100 million per year in new deals for Dak Prescott and CD Lamb. And on his 82nd birthday, the Cowboys suffered their worst home loss in Jones's 36 seasons in charge. That's right. Not even the sad sack 1989 Dallas Cowboys lost this bad. Neither did Dave Campo. Neither did Wade Phillips. Neither did Jason Garrett. Nearing the end of their runs, 47-9. Like, and it could have been worse, is a historic home loss for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if there's any team that's got a top shelf liquor level of talent, yet disproportionate ability to play together as a team, quite like the Dallas Cowboys. They're a mess.
They're just, first of all, Jerry is to blame. If Jerry had just kept Jimmy Johnson falling in a hole, he to this moment would be hailed as the greatest owner in the history of the NFL. He would have emerged from that hole with about 8 rings. And they would have just been this unbelievable, the Cowboys of the 90s were the greatest team of all time. Instead, he fired Jimmy. The cap came. He hired, Barry Switzer. They won one more title, and they've been totally irrelevant ever since. This is a team that badly needs a Major League Baseball fire sale. They need to fire everybody, fire the head coach, fire the general manager. Oh, you can't fire the general manager because it's me. I'd be firing myself. I'm Jerry, or I'd be firing my kid. But basically, you need to hand the reins of your team to a football guy and then get out of the football decision-making business. Take yourself out of the war. Your draft war room should not be you and Steven and your girlfriend on your, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. They have the worst organization as far as personnel there is. They also have some of the great individual players. They ought to trade Micah Parsons, trade CD Lamb, trade them, in monster deals.
From a cap standpoint, dead cap room, they can't. They just signed deals that make those guys basically untradeable. So,
no, you can always trade them. And the cap accelerates. Yeah, but I'm taking a cap hit. Yeah, I'm going to take a cap hit. I'm going nowhere. I'm 3-3. I haven't won a single game at home. It's almost Halloween. They don't have a home win. Stop talking about anything else. When you haven't won at home and it's almost Halloween, you're nothing. You're done. It's time to sell. So, CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons would bring huge packages of talent and picks coming back, and they ought to do it. And they ought to fire McCarthy. He's a total clown. He lucked into his only Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback that he bypassed in the draft in 2005 in San Francisco. So he bypassed Rodgers. Rodgers went to Green Bay. He luckily partnered with Rodgers in his prime and still only got 1 ring out of it, and it's just absolutely a tire fire. Their problem is, and I could have told them this in the offseason, they have no running backs. I realize running backs are not as valuable in today's game, but they're more valuable than you guys think. The team that just beat you last night ran for 5 yards a carry. They have David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki. Those are four backs right there that are better than all of your backs. Your running backs last night are Rico Dowdell, beat up Zeke Elliott,
who's just, he's not even Zeke Elliott anymore. They might as well change his name.
Right. That's it. That's those 5 carries for Dowdell, 8 carries for Zeke. They don't have a running back. Dowdell's just a guy. Elliott's past his prime. Deuce Vaughn is only on the team because his dad scouts for the team, and he was, it was a great little story. But what's he? He's tiny. He's like a, I don't even know what I would call him. He's definitely a specialist. So they don't have a running back. They can't run the ball, and they can't stop the run. So it's as simple as that. When the Lions rolled for 184 at home or on the road against you guys in your place, 5 yards a carry. You just ran for 53 yards and 3.1. This is the franchise that had Tony Dorsett. This is the franchise that had Emmitt Smith. How do you not realize that you need a good running game? I mean, the beginning of football is run the ball, stop the run. They can't do either. They can't stop the run. They can't run the ball themselves. Game over. Thanks for coming. I mean, literally, they're done right there on that alone. And trade a couple of these guys that you could get a ton for.
They absolutely will be coming in off of a bye after the Kansas City Chiefs. But look, the Niners now have an opportunity against the Kansas City Chiefs to reestablish themselves as numero uno. I mean, if they beat the Chiefs, the entire spotlight will fall on the 49ers, and they will be the lead topic on Monday's show everywhere around the world of sports if they are able to hand the Chiefs their very first loss of the year, coming off of a bye week, which makes it even harder. After that, it's the Dallas Cowboys, and as bad as the Cowboys are, there is no team that garners more attention than the Dallas Cowboys, right or wrong. That's the way it works. If the Niners win their next 2 games, they will have won 3 in a row going into the bye week, and any slow start will be so thoroughly in the rearview mirror that there's no reason to even discuss what happened between weeks 1 and 4, not ever again. So this is just, these are 2 huge weeks of football for the Niners. You want to talk about forks in the road of a season? Look, it began in Seattle. Let's not diminish that win in any way. It's a division win. You had to have it. You got it. But now here are the 2 games that'll change the standing of how the entire league sees the team, how they feel about themselves going into the bye week. And look, every week that passes, you hopefully get closer to what Brandon Ayuk should be. You're going to soon see what Ricky Pearsall may be. Christian McCaffrey is just an X factor that if he shows up is about as big of a in-season ad that conceptually any team in football could possibly make. Dre Greenlaw is a guy who is, on the horizon, you hope. So how this team started and what they turn into and what they look like at the end of the year are 3 totally different things. So these are big, big weeks for the Niners, man. They got into off to a slow start, and like this game against Seattle was a gotta have it game for the season, right? They had to get that win, but this game, Damon, is not necessarily a gotta have it win. It's not like the season ends if you lose to Kansas City, right?
But this game is the gotta have it game if you're trying to get your swagger back.
Yes.
The Niners haven't had that swagger that they used to have when they were beating teams and beating them up in the process, and they have lost that swagger. Kansas City took that swagger from them officially when they beat them for a second consecutive time in the Super Bowl and sent the Niners into an offseason debating, do we know the overtime rules? But in reality, that's what's on the line Sunday is the Niners swagger. If the Niners win that game, they will regain their swagger. If they don't win that game, the season continues. They're still potentially a playoff team. All of their goals are still attainable, but they will have to go forward still in that pursuit of regaining that swagger. They have lost their swagger. They've lost their strut. They've lost their Greenlaw. Their violent strut, swagger, whatever you want to call it, their juice, their mojo. Kansas City took their mojo from them, and they won't get it back until they can beat Kansas City. I really believe that.
I think we saw this in Austin Powers, right? In one of the sequels, they drained his mojo, and then he's got to get it back. This is a get your mojo back game for the Niners, if there ever was one.
Mojo.
That's right. Real quick.
Dr. Evil. You've lost your mojo.
I'm a big fan of, some of these Niner-created websites, by fans that are, Niners Nation does a great job. I really like the job that Kyle Posey does. And I'm not saying that the guy who wrote the article wrote the headline, but one of the single worst headlines that have ever been on Niners Nation, I just saw this weekend, is Dre Greenlaw fined for being a good teammate. No, that's not why he was fined. Dre Greenlaw was fined for being for diving into the worst of his cheap shot nature that people think surrounds him. Dre Greenlaw is lucky that he isn't being suspended for whatever first game back he is available for based on what he did. The Niners as an organization were fined $100,000. Charvarius Ward got fined for a face mask. This happened during the Arizona game where Ward and Trey McBride, the tight end for the Cardinals, were locked up. They go to the sideline. They're still wrestling with each other, like locked up wrestlers, just neither guy letting go. And then Dre Greenlaw comes in from out of nowhere and shoves McBride into the Gatorade deck and has been fined. He got fined. What, do I have his
14
number?
grand.
14 grand. Yeah. I mean, he's
I'm so outraged by this. Now, other people have said, who I respect, hey man, that fine was totally legit and this and that. No,
totally. Yeah, no, totally was. That was a cheap shot. If that happened to a 49er, if an Arizona Cardinal had done that to George Kittle, you'd shit your pants.
No, you stop. No, and no.
Yeah, you would.
Some things make no sense at all. And this is one of them. The players get fucked in the NFL. The sport is the most popular sport in the world. It's easily the most compelling form of American entertainment there is. The NFL is far and away the most popular sport in America, and it absolutely is a burgeoning industry that's gone in our forget lifetime, in your kid's lifetime, it's jumped by $5 billion as far as the revenue pie. The revenue pie has grown to nearly $30 billion. And yet the average NFL player is destitute, basically used all their money within 3 years of finishing playing. The quarterbacks make tons. The rest of these guys make absolute babysitting wages when you actually compare the revenue that the NFL makes on their backs. So I am done with the NFL taking money out of the players' pockets directly.
I don't like it.
If you want to, there have to be rules. I'm not saying there aren't going to be, there shouldn't be rules. There has to be rules. Enforce them the way they should be enforced. Find the Niners and let the Niners decide what they want to do with Greenlaw. Stop taking money out of the players' pockets. And you're taking it out of the pockets at a rate that they're not going to be able, they're not going to make this money for the rest of their life. So it's like, oh yeah, well, taking $15,000 from a guy making $700,000 is no big deal. Yeah, but what if your $700,000 has to last you for 35 years? Then suddenly, guess what? It isn't $700,000 anymore. The average NFL player's got to get another career when his job's over. I mean, that's ridiculous. The average NBA player, the average baseball player, the average NHL player is set for freaking life. Tom Brady's set for life. Brock Purdy will be set for life, but Dre Greenlaw's not. And these other guys who risk paralysis on every snap are not. So all I'm saying is you got to have rules. Have your rules. But penalize the teams and let the teams decide. Right. Stop taking the money out of the players' pockets. If a guy wears the wrong socks, penalize the Niners. Yeah, right. The Niners are the ones who are getting a $79 million check for revenue sharing directly from the league. Oh, guess what, Jed? You're only getting $78,975,000 because you're getting this much taken off for fines for these 7 players. Stop taking the money from the rank and file player who's going to be poor and destitute in 5 years, while the league is minting money, literally inventing new revenue streams that are grander and more, larger than than any of their current streams. Right. And they stumbled on it. I mean, so enough with the taking the players. You're not wearing the right socks.
I agree with you. But what Dre Greenlaw did, he wasn't even in uniform.
I'm not saying it's right. Not saying it's right.
I mean, it's the equivalent of Dom, the Philadelphia security guard, getting in Dre Greenlaw's face. You know, that shouldn't happen.
Not really.
Well, no, it really is. If you ain't in uniform, you ain't in the game, dude. It's that simple. If you are wearing the same thing that you're wearing in the press box, you're not playing today.
But there's a difference between a player and a security guard.
Of course,
a player's a player.
Of course there is. But neither one was.
But everybody, how about this? Everybody on the sidelines, that's on the Niners sidelines, is the Niners' responsibility. Everybody on the opposing sideline is that team's responsibility. So if Dom makes a mistake, stick it to the Eagles. If Greenlaw makes a mistake, stick it to the Niners. Stick it to Jed. All I'm saying is the same way that Bill Walsh used to say, he didn't yell at Bubba going, Bubba, you can't block. He'd yell at McKittrick. Hey, McKittrick, can't you get Bubba to block? It's the same thing. Stop penalizing Dre Greenlaw and start penalizing the 49ers and let them penalize Dre Greenlaw.
Well, to me, the more offensive thing, Larry, is like the Chavarius Ward getting fined, what 11 grand or whatever it was for a face mask. Like, that's 100-mile-an-hour mistake. You can't tell me that Ward is looking to make a tackle by the face mask. When a batter gets hit by a pitch, Major League Baseball doesn't fine the pitcher for throwing the pitch. So it shouldn't happen. 100-mile-an-hour mistakes should not be finable offenses. And I do agree with you. The player should not have to go into their own pocket. It should be the team that covers any and all fines. And what that fine goes to, like, what does the NFL do with that money? Like, what does the NFL?
Well, I asked that question.
$11,000.
They supposedly donate it to charity somehow, so it's not like it's going to the Roger Goodell summertime fund or anything. It's going to a good cause, which right. I didn't think anything other. Right? I mean, come on, that would be a major controversy if it was going to all going to Brett Favre or something. I mean,
Roger Goodell's bonus is based on fines collected.
Yeah. It goes to Roger for his shoe fund or something. No, but I mean it's going to charity. I'm just saying. I'll give you an example. The Niners came out in the all whites, great uniform. Did you see that Ayuk wore red?
Yeah, I don't like that, man. Get on page with your, everyone's wearing white. You're all iced out, and you got the red sleeves on, the red socks up. I don't like the. How about this? Maybe you'll be you won't be as easy to defend if you don't stick out like a sore thumb as much or something. Just like wear beige and blend in with the rest of your teammates. I don't like I got to be different guy when everyone is on the same page.
Should we look up the definition of uniform? Uniform is one. Comes from one.
Yeah,
one.
Uni. Yeah.
So if everybody's dressed like one way and immature Brandon's dressed the other way, then immature Brandon's not going with the team. And there probably should be a fine for that. But I don't want to fine the players. I want to fine the team. And if you can't, let's find the teams, and then the teams have tons of money. The teams have tons of cash. They're inventing new revenue streams. Deal with it that way. No more taking money out of guys' pockets. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. And also, to what end? I mean, it's like, so you're taking money out of guys' pockets, and then now you're trying to encourage the teams to start up Golden Heart funds to take care of players that are retired. Well, maybe we wouldn't have to take care of the players so much upon retirement if we didn't take, I don't know, $250,000 off them for not wearing the right shoes, socks, and whatever. But you got to have rules. I do understand that. I'm just saying, stop taking it from the players. It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous.
I guess my question is, so you're up in Seattle and everyone's locker gets filled with that night's uniform by all the equipment managers, and it's all in there. Are they putting a red sleeve shirt as an option for Brandon Ayuk there, or does Brandon Ayuk bring that himself? You know what I mean? Like, how does he even have the shirt to put on? Like, let's make it easy.
He wore red socks. He wore red socks when everybody else wore all white
and sleeves.
But it's not uniform. I mean, it's bad. I'll tell you one thing that I'm anti, and I'll never win anybody over, but I know I'm right. NBA games look awful with guys picking whatever shoe they want. And it looks bad. It looks really bad. And it's like some guys have one red shoe, one blue shoe. I mean, that looks really idiotic. But I mean, if you're the Lakers and you come out and you're playing the Warriors, but 3 of your guys are wearing Warrior color shoes, that's fine.
Like neon
in today's
yellow,
game.
pink shoes.
Wear whatever brand of shoe you want, but why can't they? These guys have so much money, and the league has so much money. They can get any shoe that they want in any color that they want. Make the players, let them wear whatever shoe they want. Just have it be all white or all black or have the color of the team. Is it that complicated? Instead, we've got teams that have a blue and red scheme with green and yellow shoes, and it looks sloppy. It looks bad.
You know what I don't like? I don't like the coach who insists on you got to wear a tie on the airplane. That's nonsense. But everyone should be dressed the same out on the field together. I have always agreed with that. I also will tell you, I really, at the end of the day, don't give a shit if your sleeves are black, your sleeves are white, your sleeves are red. Just execute in the fucking red zone, and we won't talk about sleeve color ever again. I can promise you that. Larry, we got a lot of super chats that we haven't dipped into any of them. Before we do, though, can we tell everyone about how much they need to get down to Half Moon Bay? I mean, it's the perfect month to go down there. Make sure you plan an entire day. We got pumpkin patch season happening all over Half Moon Bay, and you go to Sam's Chowder House, and you'll be very happy that you did. Fabulous restaurant, sponsor of Wake Up. We love that they are sponsoring us, and boy, do we love that lobster roll. Look at that right there. The paella is legit. Now it's Cioppino time. Look at this. Oh, look at that sexy son of a bitch just sitting there for you. Oh, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Get yourself to Sam's Chowder House at Half Moon Bay, baby.
Can't beat it. Sam's Chowder House, great view. Have some oysters Rockefeller. Tell them that Larry and Damon sent you. And people are doing it. So it's great to see. All right, let's hit the supers, and we got a bunch of them here.
Let's do it.
Probably shouldn't have waited till this late in the show to do them, but sorry. And Drew just drops a Radnich. Nobody cares. Okay, there you go. It served Gary well. Joseph Ernberg, how many points we losing by? Oh, that kind of negativity.
Yeah,
no place here for that kind of negativity.
Get it all out on a Monday because we've got to be positive starting Tuesday going forward. All right. Michael
Carroll says Bo Nix for MVP. Quarterback talent is largely won from the neck up. Purdy is a top 3 quarterback brain while having top 10 talent. Yeah. Colin Cowherd said that he'd rather have Bo Nix than Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd was also talking about how awesome Lincoln Riley is at halftime of USC Penn State and talking about how you Big Ten teams don't know what you're in for coming out here. No. Penn State wins in overtime. Colin, shut up.
Colin's true idiocy was that he said that the Niners have the 4th best offense in total yards in the first half and the 22nd best offense in the second half. And then, which is an interesting stat, right? That is a very interesting stat and one that would actually make you say, hey, what do you think? Let's have a discussion
for that. Why?
Yeah, what's the launch? It's a great launch point for a very good discussion, except he threw it in a video and then immediately followed up quoting the stat by saying, in the first half, Kyle Shanahan's got his scripted plays. And then in the second half, it's up to Brock to bring it home. It's like, what? Who do you fucking think is calling the plays in the second half, moron? Kyle Shanahan, the same guy that you're praising for calling great plays in the first half, you're now absolving total blame while he's the absolute play caller for the entire game. Fuji Simeon says terrible injury for Hutchinson. Crosby unhappy. Yeah, Crosby pushed his coach. You saw that on the sideline. The Raiders are a tire fire.
Yeah, here's the thing. It starts with ownership, man. Bad ownership rots from the head on down. And I don't care that he got his new stadium and he's in Las Vegas now, and the Raiders are worth X amount of dollars as opposed to the Y amount of dollars they used to be worth. Mark Davis is awful for the job. If his daddy wasn't Al Davis, they wouldn't even let him attend football games, much less own a football team. He's awful.
He's so clueless. Did you see his line the other day that his hot young girlfriend didn't know he was a billionaire or didn't know he was a millionaire? Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah. She just thought this guy just got a bad haircut.
Look at this tall drink of water. I got to be
yeah.
fucking him.
Let me see this red guy with the Dumb and Dumber haircut. Joseph Ernberg says, Larry read my super chat completely wrong last week. Joseph, I did it on purpose.
Damn you, Larry.
I did it on purpose.
Are these super chats? What are you doing? I don't
know. Well, that was just one in there. Invader 49er. I throw supers and a couple interesting ones in there. Invader 49er says, can we trade for Azeez Ojulari, please? The NFL trade deadline is November the 4th.
It's coming up.
So you are going to hear some NFL trade rumors a lot in the next few weeks because we're inside of 3 weeks.
By the way, I got the DEFCON 1 trade that would officially make the entire football world sit up. So the Browns are so beyond just permafucked.
Browns be Browning.
Deshaun is a disaster. He is 0 for his last 36 attempts on third down. It's staggering how bad he has become. At what point just to start getting out of do they trade Myles Garrett?
Oh, I thought you were going to say trade Deshaun.
No, he's untradeable. No one wants him.
You'd have to attach draft picks. I mean, that's the thing. Some teams should, like some of these bad teams that have no quarterback, a team like the Raiders, they ought to approach the Browns and say, hey, look, we'll take Deshaun Watson and his historically bad contract, which is 100% guaranteed. We'll take it off your plate. Just give us your next 2 number ones and a couple number 2s in future years. And we'll take that money and we'll cut the players we need to cut on our cap. We're going nowhere. We'll make it all work.
See, I think it's easier to just bench Deshaun Watson, play who's ever behind him, fucking Spurgeon win. I don't give a shit. And
Flacco. Oh no, he's in Indy now.
Yeah, right. But no, I mean, I don't think you can get rid of him, and you certainly can't attach any picks. Like you can't do further damage to your future to get rid of Deshaun. You just got to bite your bottom lip and sit a guy that you're paying $200 million to. That's what they
go
need
with
to do.
DTR, Dominic Thompson Robinson, the former UCLA Bruin. We've got this one, Kyle Bentz. Hey, Lowry. No! Trade deadline. Should we get a free safety, a D lineman, maybe a speedy receiver? Also, have you ever been to the Miramar in Half Moon Bay? Grew up eating there. I've never been to the Miramar. I've heard you pimp it a couple times.
We only eat at Sam's in Half Moon Bay. We are contractually obligated to only eat at Sam's.
I my feet can be at the Miramar, but my mouth has to be over at Sam's. And as far as the trade deadline, I would say, the Niners could probably use. I'm doing a video on this as soon as this is over today, and I've got 12 guys that could be. The Niners should be looking to trade.
Potential trade targets,
and I'm doing a video on it. I won't give you the names, but I'll give you the positions. D end, corner, D tackle, linebacker, D end, offensive tackle, corner, D end, safety.
So there you go. So basically not a real move to be made offensively, but plenty of defensive help is needed.
I don't think you need to make a move offensively. You got Ricky Pearsall coming. You got Cowan coming. You got. There's other guys out there, and running back wise, they could use somebody for sure. But I didn't have a running back because I don't think you need to trade for one necessarily. Fuji Simeon says, "I'm shocked." Colin said, "Nix, Dak, Cousins, Kyler, Trevor, Baker, Caleb. We're all better than Brock." LOL. Love and Stroud played well. Who are your top 10 quarterbacks? Oh man, I don't know if I get time.
By the way, there's nothing less valuable than the question. Who are your top 10 quarterbacks? What? Oh, you got number 9 wrong. He should be at 11. An 11 should be at number 8. I mean, here are this guy's a motherfucking badass. Here's the list: Mahomes, Lamar, Brock,
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is definitely in the conversation.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had an amazing touchdown run last night.
He did, but Joe Burrow is his frosted
Joe Burrow's
really
good.
He's out of you frost your hair.
You like
you're
Joe Burrow?
Done. He's all right.
Come on,
he's good. He's good. But here's the thing: how good would Joe Burrow be without Jamar Chase? How come that
Good.
question never gets asked the way it gets asked with every single pass that Brock throws to Kittle or Debo or Ayuk? None of those guys are as good as Jamar Chase, by the way, but that never gets scored against Joe Burrow the way
In
that
no order.
anyone,
Okay.
Yeah.
No order. Let's just go through it real quick. No order. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes. Those are your 5 best quarterbacks in the AFC.
No Herbert?
He'd be 6. So those are the top 5. In the NFC, I'll go top 5 quarterbacks. And then this is no order, just the 5 that I'm thinking of. Stafford, Purdy,
Love.
You
going to put Sam Darnold in there?
No, but I'll put
Jaden Daniels in there.
I'll put Jaden Daniels in there. And I'll put Darnold number 5. Yeah. Darnold would be 5. So it'd be Stafford, Purdy, Darnold, Love, Daniels.
So not Dak, not Cousins, not Kyler, not Baker, not Caleb.
Of that group, I might consider Kyler, but no. I would say no. Say those guys are outside looking in. Okay, we got a couple more here. Fuji Simeon says, IU 6-0, Damon. Would you go to the bowl game?
Look at it this way. If financially able to be there, yeah, I will be. I don't quite have the I can do whatever I want money or lifestyle these days, being a father of 2 small kids. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be there. I would love to be.
They're legitimately good.
Dude, I'm really afraid.
IU's good. I've seen they got 2 or 3 pro prospects on that team.
Oh, including the quarterback and like 3 wide receivers. The 49ers wish they had IU's wide receivers. We got a core.
Don't they have a good running back too? And don't they have a good? Who's their running back? Don't they have a good running back?
They do. They got like 3 good running backs, Larry.
Drew has been a member for 8 months. Watching this crop of young quarterbacks makes me love Brock even more. Oh, how could you not like Brock? He's a young quarterback in a veteran's body. He's got quickness of a young guy, but he's got the brain of a 10-year vet. Oh yeah, come on, Brock's it. Fuji Simeon says 2021 draft. I wanted Fields over Trey at the time.
Well, that would have been the right pick because one guy's in the league and the other one is imaginary.
Yeah, I wanted Trey, and what a train wreck that whole thing was. Ricky Williams says trade deadline looming. We have to get in one of these pass rushers. The Lions lost the best pass rusher in the NFC. We can't let them go all in and get someone while we watch. We won't beat the Lions. We'll see. We'll see what the Lions can do. I do think the Niners ought to, try to be proactive at the deadline because you're right. A team like Detroit, if you could step in front of them for a key defensive end, might be the difference between winning and losing. Eric Thurman says D. Winters scared Graham. I'm not getting that.
I don't know. I don't get that either.
Sorry about that, Eric. Fuji Simeon says thoughts on Sirianni joining with Eagles fans. I was the most unbelievable thing I saw all weekend. You won the game. The fans booed you. And instead of just ignoring it and pretending it didn't happen, like would have been the smart thing to do, this guy starts going like, hey, come on. He's like egging on his own fans. It's not going to end well.
No.
But it is going to end soon for Sirianni. Yeah. I would say when you start talking trash to the home fans in a market like Philadelphia, you're done.
Well, it's like the old, you don't want to start a war of words with an entity that buys ink by the barrel. Like that used to be the old newspaper cliche when there were kids, there were these things called newspapers. They were printed every day and they had the news in them. But you don't go to war with people who buy, ink by the barrel. And if you are a manager or a coach in the city of Philadelphia, you never turn around and say, hey, you fans could be a lot nicer to us, because it just ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, know where you are.
What an awful place that is, by the way. I've been there. I can say that. I've met their fans. I've listened to their sports radio. That's an awful place. I mean, it really is. That's so negative. They're so trashy.
Yeah.
So negative. I mean, when things go spiral out of control there, I mean, nothing can spiral out of control here. Sports radio doesn't have the kind of impact on our lives in this market as it does in a city like Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, it's like a living, breathing organism. And it's like if you battle with the fans through the sports radio, it's like you're so done. You're so cooked. I mean, Sirianni, I would be very surprised if Sirianni makes it through the entire regular season.
So the who's going to get fired next conversation right now is between Doug Peterson in Jacksonville, Sirianni in Philadelphia, and McCarthy in Dallas, right? I mean, those are the next three to go.
I think Sirianni, though, because of the nature of the jawing, I think he's going to be the first to go. You heard Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is like, I'm not even going to discuss firing my coach. It's like Jerry Jones has decided that he is okay with losing as long as he gets to play with the toy. He doesn't really want to win. He just rather win as he's doing it all. If he really wanted to win, he'd go get an expert. It's like we have ants crawling around on the perimeter of our garage. Am I going to sit down there and try to kill them all with my thumb? No, I'm going to call Clark's. He's going to spray the perimeter of my house, and the ants are going to be gone. Jerry doesn't want to spray Clark's. He doesn't want to call Clark's. He wants to kill all those ants by himself. Well, go for it, bro. I mean,
he believes that the ants are also good for business, and people are going to be talking about the ants. Therefore, they're going to be talking about us, and that's always good for business. There's no amount of negative press that bothers Jerry. As a matter of fact, he's embraced it to the point where, I mean, look, teams, and this isn't just a football problem. This is a baseball problem. This is a basketball. Teams now exist in a universe where victory is completely irrelevant to the profit equation. It really is.
Yeah.
It doesn't. There's no motivation
loosely
to
related
win or lose. In
terms of Giants, like San Francisco Giants, it's like they suck. They're boring, and they're going nowhere. And yet, tons of people packed the house, and they probably made good. Were the 2024 Giants a success? No, but they might have been at the box office. I mean, they might have been. They sold a bunch of tickets. Who knows? I bet you the owners carved themselves out a nice little tidy profit. I bet you they did. So maybe they would view it differently. Eric Thurman says should play both rookie safety, Mustafa and Bernardo Green.
I think Mustafa is a recovery from an injury away from being this team's permanent solution at free safety.
He's one of the best defensive players on the entire team, in my opinion. James Foster says Campbell is second in team in tackles, by the way. He's playing linebacker. I mean, most linebackers are. He's been terrible. By all metrics, James, he's been terrible. Ben Affleck's double chin says if Brock gets Baker money contract, is that a bargain? What did Baker get? 45, something like that?
No, so Baker has a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Rays, right? Or with, the Buccaneers.
So 33?
$50 million guaranteed, $100 million contract. Yeah, I mean, if they could bring in Brock for $33 million a year, it would be the second greatest deal they've ever gotten on him besides his rookie contract. Brock is north of 50, kids. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be north of $50 million for sure. Bet your life on it.
Bozzy Mian says Ashton Gianti is a monster. Can't imagine what Shanahan could do with someone like that. That's the
running back for Boise State.
Yeah, the Smurf turf running back.
He's on pace. I mean, it's going to be. There's no way it's sustainable, but he's on pace to break Barry Sanders' NCAA single season rushing record. He's insane.
Nobody likes a running back, but that kid's going in the first round. Blood Moon says didn't know Hunter is a 49er fan. Fuck it, get him. I didn't know Travis Hunter's a 49er fan.
I didn't know that either.
James Harden. I don't know if you saw that this weekend. He's a 49er fan. That I didn't know. Did I tell you my James Harden story? I was at the final game of the stick, Damon, Niners Falcons. Navarro Bowman had that pick and he ran down the sidelines.
Yep.
He ran right by me, but he also ran right by James Harden because James Harden and I were standing next to each other on the sideline. And I'm like, James Harden. I walked down there. I'm like, hey, what's up, James? He's like, hey, what's up, man? I go, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, man, I'm a lifelong Niner fan. I said, really? So I didn't, I didn't know that. But James Harden, lifelong Niner fan. Space
Probably
Cowboy
identifies with the fact that they come close to championships but don't actually win them. It makes him very comfortable.
Yeah, he likes to pound the dribble. Well, I like James Harden though. I wouldn't. James Harden to me seems like I would like if they could have gotten James Harden, I would have loved to have seen James Harden play with Steph. Space Cowboy says safety Buda Baker, final year of his contract, Hassan Reddick, and cornerback Greg Newsome, fourth year, Max Crosby. Time to get someone and go all in. You're not getting Crosby.
By the way, I can't stand James Harden, just for the record, since we're putting our James Harden positions on the record here. Oh,
what's up? What about
can't
James Harden?
James Harden. Can't stand him.
I like him. I mean, he's still playing well.
Great scorer, but completely ineffectual as a leader. Yeah, there's never been a tough situation that he doesn't run from as soon as he can. He doesn't play a lick of defense. He can facilitate the ball. He's an offensive mastermind. As a teammate, he fucking sucks.
Should have traded Klay Thompson for him. Brian Woods. Of this group, by the way, I like Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome would make sense. Good corner for the Browns. Brian Woods says, Larry, I've seen 49ers had scouts at the Ducks-Buckeyes game. Who do you think they had their eyes on?
Every NFL team had scouts at that game. There was so much talent on that field.
Tons of talent. Who do I think they had their eyes on? Well, first of all, I mean, just the Buckeyes alone are an incredible team. I mean,
Jeremiah Smith, their wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith he's a freshman. He's not getting drafted this year. He's a freshman, a true freshman. And he is having the biggest true freshman season any true freshman has ever had at Ohio State. He is unfreaking believable.
Yeah, he's a jumbo receiver with unbelievable hand-eye coordination, great leaping ability, great 40 time. I mean, the Buckeyes are super, super, super loaded. They have Emeka Egbuka, the other receiver, the junior. He's a hell of a player. I'll say this, Will Howard's absolutely gagged in that game. I had the Buckeyes in that game. I watched it till the end. The Buckeyes do have
final play of the final drive of the game. He just falls down untouched. Just falls down, and then he mismanaged coming out of the dead ball and the clock winding. He didn't even see that. And then he pulls the Dak Prescott where he takes off to run and slide with no time left on the clock. I mean, what are you doing? Ryan Day, this is why you're going to get fired. I'm sorry, Ryan Day.
It just kind of shows. It's like, Ryan Day, did they have a timeout there at the end? If he had slid down, he could have just called the timeout.
With the timeout, Larry. They lost the game with the timeout.
But as far as the Buckeyes, who do they have? Travion Henderson, the running back, number 32. Quinshawn Judkins, the running back, number 1. Those two guys are amazing. The defensive ends, JT Tumalau or whatever, and Jack Sawyer, really, really good. The defensive tackle, the nose guard, Ty Hamilton, is a senior Ohio kid from Pickerington, Ohio. He's a tremendous, tremendous player. He's 305 pounds, super fast. Denzel Burke, the junior corner, amazing player. Sonny Styles, the linebacker, the weak side linebacker, the junior, he's a tremendous player. I mean, they got a lot of good players, and Oregon's got some really good players too. But the Buckeye players, a lot of premier guys for sure.
Yeah.
Fuji Simeon says Macklin Celebrini on IR.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Is he hurt? What's his injury?
Lower
body, upper body?
A lower body injury, I think. Or maybe it's an upper body. We no details available.
All right, that's going to do it for us. What do you got cooking the rest of the day?
So I got my 11 o'clock show that we're going to kind of take a look back at a week where a lot of Niner fans just got to sit around and enjoy a Sunday of football. So we're going to kind of do like an NFL level inventory, see who's good, see who's not. Later this week, it is Chiefs week, which means Nick Wright's going to drop on by the show eventually this week. Probably going to happen on Wednesday. Huh?
Is he a Kansas City guy? I didn't realize he was Kansas City.
Is that a joke?
No, I'm.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he's Johnny Kansas City. He's Mr.
How would we
Kansas
know
City.
that?
Well, that's where his radio career started, right? He went from Kansas City to Houston. He's from KC, like he grew up there, so he grew up a Chiefs fan, and obviously he's been one of Brock's biggest detractors. We'll see if he's evolving that opinion or if he's just trying to pull the Colin Cowherd, just looking for attention with every sentence he can speak. We'll get into Nick a little bit later on this weekend. A couple guys from Kansas City, Bob Fesco, who I've known for years. We've made some Super Bowl city bets with Bob Fesco. I've sent him zipper masks because he's been the winner. Yeah, he's like, what do you want if the Niners win? I'm like, give me some really good barbecue sauce. And I'm like, if the Chiefs win, we got to give you something that's very San Francisco. I'm going to get you a Sex Dungeon zipper mask. So I sent that to him and his wife the last time in the last Super Bowl.
You sent him a little fentanyl.
Yeah, a little fentanyl. Yeah,
here's a little fentanyl, and here's a video of the mayor, ignoring her own mandatory stay in lockdown mood roles.
Calm down there, Walnut Creek.
I'm just saying. The mayor said nobody goes anywhere, and then she went to see Tony. And when she was called on the carpet because she's a fucking idiot, people said, "Hey, why were you not even why'd you ignore your own rules to stay indoors?" She's like, "Hey, man, it's Tony.
It's Tony.
It's like, oh, in that case, I wanted to go see the Baja Men because whoop, there it is, or Who Let the Dogs Out. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean,
it's the Baja Men. I got
Baja Men. Hey, Who Let the Dogs Out? Who let the dogs out? Maybe
the most obnoxious song ever attached to sport. That is as bad as it gets. It really was. In real time, it was as bad as it gets.
Good stuff. All right, I've got a video to make right now, and then I'm headed down to practice. Niners practice at 1:30. We'll go into the locker room afterwards at 2:30. Niners Nightly tonight at 6:00. Guy Haberman is going to stop by tonight, and Blair Kirchhoff, who covers the Chiefs out of Kansas City, he's going to stop by tonight as well. We got a full range of stuff going on this week.
Let me ask: Is Damon Bruce going to be scheduled on a Niner Nightly appearance, or is that simply unavailable?
I'll have to see if he's available. Wednesday, we'll be back here with Wake Up. Friday, we'll be back here with another edition of Wake Up. Cam Inman's going to stop by this week. JD will be by this week. And a couple other people from Kansas City as well. We talked to the great Jeff Chadilla over the weekend. So it's good to talk and catch up with Jeff, old friend. He covers Kansas City. So, yeah, we got a big day. Not sure if I'll have enough time to do all the things I want to do. I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to go to Home Depot.
Well, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. Get yourself down to Sam's Chowder House. You'll be very happy that you did. I can promise you that. And if you do, please take a picture of how much fun you're having and send it to me and Larry on social media, and we'll turn it into a bit of the show whenever we get one of those pictures. So we'd love to see you down there having a great time. Thanks very much for watching. And
Larry, very good show. It's a big week for sports. Very big week here in the Bay Area, no doubt about it.
Barry Ford has also given us a super here, Damon. And, I wrote down on a piece of paper, I will never draft Brock Purdy. And you know what? I never did. I absolutely never did. We've got Trevor Lawrence, and yeah, he can't play fucking dead, but he's got killer hair. I'll tell you that. Kid's got good hair. But anyway, Barry Ford says Nick Wright hates Brock Purdy. I can't figure it out. So there you go. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a great day. Go like and subscribe at both channels, and go out there and be a good football guy.